Welcome to the Zoologist's Campfire, the podcast where animal professionals share their best, funniest, and most epic stories. And so far, we've had a variety of animal professionals on the podcast. But today, we add a new animal profession to that lineup, an animal transport pro, in the person of Raymond Tilburg. Raymond has a master's in animal science from Wageningen University, also my university. And after working in the meat industry, among others, for the Dutch Ministry of Agriculture, he started working at the Royal Dutch Airlines in animal cargo. He is now responsible for the handling of all animals in the KLM network. He is also a board member of the Animal Transport Association and the International Air Transport Association board that deals with live animals. So in these capacities, he is involved in setting standards for animal transport worldwide. Raymond, welcome.
Thank you, Ari. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. Hey, live animal air transport manager is, I think, a pretty rare job description, right? How many jobs like that are in the world? Does every airport have one? How does that work?
I used to be the only one within KLM. And to be honest, 5 years ago, I changed position. And I'm no longer responsible for the handling of all live animals, but the handling of all freight at Schiphol.
Oh.
But I'm still involved with the Animal Transportation Association and the IATA Live Animal Perishable Board.
Right.
So I'm still, I think, till my neck into the transporting of live animals.
Yeah, I know that. Awesome. And you transport and transported a lot of weird animals, and I don't think people realize how much transport there is of animals around the world, right?
I think on every airplane, every wide-body airplane, there are animals loaded.
Really?
Yes, not only in the cabin, but mainly in the cargo holds.
Right.
And let's say when you travel and you collect your suitcase, and it feels a little bit cold.
Right.
That's because the most aircraft have 4 holes under the seats. 2 holes are ventilated and temperature controlled.
Right.
And 2 or 3 holes are not temperature controlled and not ventilated. The non-ventilated holes are used for your luggage.
Yeah.
And mail. And the ventilated holes are used for all products and all kinds of animals. Products that need ventilation and temperature control.
Right.
Can be pharmaceuticals. Ventilation, temperature control animals. And all other kinds of cargo that need some kind of temperature control or ventilation.
So you say pretty much every plane has some animals on it. Is that all cats and dogs, or?
No. Well, lots of people think it's cats and dogs, but most of the time, what is being transported are can be live. Let's say, for example, live lobsters, live food.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But animals a lot of times, it's especially when you fly into Africa and Asia, it's day-old chicks and insects, beneficial insects.
Right. So day-old chicks, so little chickens. Why don't they have them in Asia and Africa, or?
They have some in Asia and Africa, but they're all offspring of animals that are produced in, let's say, the modern world, in Europe or the United States, and some in Brazil.
Okay.
And also nowadays in New Zealand. And what the airlines mostly transports are the grandparents and parent stock.
Okay, you'll have to explain
that one. The grandparents of the animals that you eat, or the parents of the animals that you eat.
Right, so these are not for consumption, they're actually for breeding.
Most of them are for breeding. What is being transported into Africa is mainly for production. And into Asia and all the other countries, it's mainly for reproduction.
Okay. Okay.
So
So
we
yeah,
you
the
always
ones,
ship 2 or 4 lines, male lines and female lines.
and those are shipped separately.
They are shipped separately in cardboard boxes or in plastic containers.
Uh-huh.
We have males and females separate, but they are on the same pallet or in the
Right.
same shipment.
Sure. Sure.
And we always make sure that most of the time it's 10% is males and 90% females.
Mm-hmm.
And by coincidence, the males are a little bit weaker than females.
Uh-huh.
So the males are always put on top of the females.
Right.
Give them a better temperature and better ventilation.
Right, right, right. And so these cargo holds are at the same temperature and ventilation as, say, the cabin that we're used to sitting in when we're flying.
Sometimes a little bit less. When we ship day-old chicks, it's most of the time the inlet temperature is 18 degrees Celsius.
Okay.
So we know inside the boxes it's 27.
Ooh, that's pretty warm. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a good temperature for day-old chicks.
No, no, they have to sit under their mom usually, right? So they have to be a
Yeah,
little bit warm, I imagine. Yeah.
yeah. And 27 is a good temperature. And a day-old chick is a day-old chick for 3 days. So we have, let's say, 3 days to
Flexible
transfer the
definition.
day-old chicks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now they live on the yolk for 72 hours
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
in
Right.
good conditions.
Mm, 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 mm.
But the humidity in the cargo holds is about 12 to 15%.
Oh, that's quite dry.
Yeah, but it's the same as in the cabin.
Mm.
If you ever take a newspaper, bring it with you, you start reading it, you put it away, and 5 hours later you take it, you take it again.
Mhm.
It's crispy.
Right. Everything
That's
dries
also the
out.
reason why you have to drink a lot when you're flying.
Ah, and that
And
doesn't
that's
bother these chicks, or
it bothers the chicks a little bit. That's why the most of the chicks are also given some kinds of we call solidified water,
Mm.
what they can pick on during the flight.
Okay, so they have water on their flight and they have still a belly
They-
full of yolk, so they are in the
yeah,
perfect condition for flying.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. Better than us, probably.
I think it's first class, and you can pick your neighbor.
Awesome. And so
Yeah,
so it's mostly, you said it's mostly day-old chicks that fly across the world all the time?
it's a lot of day-old chicks
Hmm.
and a lot of dogs and cats
Hmm.
and lots of insects.
Yeah, insects.
Yeah,
Can you tell me more about that? What kind of insects are we thinking here?
bumblebees
Hmm.
and beneficial insects. And those beneficial insects are used in greenhouses or in the open
Oh,
field
right, 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 right.
uh, uh, against plagues.
Yeah. So
And the
sort of
bumblebees,
biological control and
oh yes,
biological pollination. Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
The biological pollination is done by bumblebees,
Yeah.
and there's a big reason why they use bumblebees.
Why is that?
Ah, when you use, let's say, the bees in a
Hmm.
greenhouse, and the greenhouse is open for ventilation, they will all
Hmm.
leave.
Oh,
Look for a better product to
right.
eat. Bumblebees are not straying animals; they just stay in their own small environment,
Right. Okay.
so they will not stray. So when you use, let's say, 100,000 bumblebees,
Hmm.
after 3 weeks, you still have 100,000, or even more because they reproduce. And bees, you will lose them,
Okay.
and
Oh, that makes sense.
that's why I use bumblebees.
And the people don't use the local bumblebees, but they have to ship them around the world.
It's mostly the European bumblebees,
Hmm.
Bumbus terrestris, I think it's called. And they told me that when they ship bumblebees to the United States, it's one that originated from the United States,
Oh, okay.
but is
Right.
reproduced in Europe.
Hmm. So in Europe, we're
They have
really good
different laws there,
at growing bumblebees, apparently.
especially Hungary.
Oh.
And there's a big company named Coppert,
Hmm. Yeah,
and
I
I
know
think
it.
Coppert and BioBest, they are the world leaders of beneficial insects.
Wow. So
Yeah,
Hungary and the Netherlands are leading the world in biological
Yeah,
pollination
and
and
Belgium number 2 or 3. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, that's it. That's cool. So, all the bumblebees fly through your hands pretty much because you're in
Uh,
Amsterdam. Uh,
a lot of them do. Yes.
hmm.
Yeah.
So, if people
I
see
don't know.
bumblebees somewhere in a greenhouse, they may have gone through your hands at some point.
Might be, or I've seen them, or at least maybe I've arranged a flight. That's it. But
Right. You book their
yeah.
tickets. Yeah.
And what we also transport a lot comes to mind are mealworms.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
For food, for
for food. Yes. Now for food, for animal food,
right.
and as bait.
Right. 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 Right.
And we also transport a lot of earthworms. Also
Earthworms.
for bait.
You for bait. Oh, you'd think people
Yeah,
have earthworms everywhere, but apparently
they breed some good earthworms in Canada
oh.
and in the Netherlands, and there's huge demand of.
Huh. Yeah, who
Yeah,
knew? So if you hook your line
yeah.
in some
In
country,
Alabama,
yeah, you may be hooking a Canadian or a Dutch worm.
yep, Dutch night crawler.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. To think about how many animals are flying across the world every day.
Yeah.
Cool. But
Now we
if
also use
yeah, sorry, go on.
ship a lot of horses. I think
Horses.
12,000. Yeah, 12,000 a year. We still had the combi aircraft,
Mm.
and meaning that we had Boeing 747s. Half of the Boeing was for passengers, and the other half we had 7 pallet positions.
Hmm.
So 7 positions for a horse stall.
Oh,
So we could
okay.
ship 20 horses on the same flight as 286 people.
Wow. So
Yeah.
the horse tickets are a lot more expensive than the human tickets, I imagine.
Yes. Yeah.
They take a lot
Depending
more
on where you
space.
want to travel to. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So these are very special horses, race horses or production.
Everything but slaughter horses.
Okay. Okay.
It can be race horses. It can be horses for trade. A lot of horses go in spring. They go to the United States to be sold.
Uh-huh.
If they're not sold, they come back in autumn
Could be sold here.
or to be trained or to
Ah,
be sold here. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Huh. That's interesting. So they
yeah,
also move seasonally across the world.
yeah.
And
And
but yeah.
what travels a lot around the world are the racing horses
Mm-hmm.
from the UK and from Europe into Hong Kong, just to do 2 or 3 rounds, and then they fly back.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh. Very expensive hobby, I guess.
I hope it's your hobby because at the end you will lose money, I guess.
Wow. So they're flown to each race and then they have to run a
Yeah,
circle and then they're
yeah.
flown back. Yeah.
And when you fly them in and you get them back within 12 days,
Hmm.
they told me they don't have any jet lag
Oh, okay.
because jet lag for horse kicks in later.
Right.
So you have a certain time bracket that they don't have a jet lag and they just can perform whatever they do, and then you fly them back.
Oh, that's ideal. You don't want a jet-lagged horse at the start of a race.
Indeed. That's why you have to be there 2 weeks in advance or just in a time frame.
Mm, right. So that's all planned very carefully.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then they come to you. When
Yeah.
when I think about animal transport, I mean, you think mostly dogs and cats, of course. Um, that's also pretty much on every flight, I imagine, right?
And
Mm.
shipping dogs and cats is not difficult. It's you have to handle the people behind the dogs and cats, the owners. They are more difficult. Um, Dogs are easy travelers.
Okay.
When a dog is used to its kennel,
Hmm.
it just lays down and just let it happen.
Right. Right.
Uh, Cats are crazy.
We all know that.
Yes, all the handling stations that handle cats and dogs, when they have a biting incident, it's always a cat and never a dog
Okay.
because cats don't like to travel.
And then it happens that a handler accidentally puts their finger inside the cage and gets bitten,
Yes,
or
yeah, that can be. Or what we always did in the animal hotel and lots of other animal hotels worldwide from other airlines, other origins, destination. When the transit time is more than 6 hours, they take the cats and the dogs out of the crate.
oh, good. Hmm.
The cats get their own litter box.
Mm,
Dogs are walked outside or inside. At least they get some exercise.
right.
And then 2 hours before departure, they are back in their own crate and for the next stretch. And at that time, it happens that a cat doesn't want to leave its kennel or whatever. And dogs, they just follow you
Yeah, 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 yeah.
and
Of
they are fine
course.
with it. But then you always have the owner who thinks that a dog need this, a dog need that. No, what a dog needs is just a proper place to lay down,
Hmm.
some food and some water. And when it's in transit, some attention
Mm,
from the keepers, and that's it.
right, right, right. And you give them
And
that. Yeah.
yeah, and lots of owners think that they need some kind of sedation for a
Mm,
better flight. Never sedate your animals.
okay.
Your dogs and cat, never sedate them.
Because otherwise you can't walk them, I imagine.
That's one. But the other one is the second reason not to sedate your dog or cat is that there's less oxygen at 30,000 feet.
Hmm.
And all the medication gives them some kinds of depression. They start breathing less.
Ah, right. Yeah, yeah.
So there also is less oxygen in their system. And that can also cause a lot of trouble in
Yeah,
flight.
right.
And
Okay.
especially with brachycephalic dogs and cats,
Hmm.
you have the problem that they might suffocate and die.
Really?
And that's
Yeah.
the reason why lots of airlines have an embargo on shipping those kinds of dogs and cats.
Really? Just because they have a
So
short face, then they,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so when you're in, let's say, the United States and you have a French bully, and you have to fly to, let's say, South Korea,
Hmm.
it's almost impossible to get there
Oh,
because all the airlines that fly between the US and South Korea via Europe or whatever have an embargo on brachycephalic dogs and cats.
really? And that's
Yeah,
the reason why, because they cannot get air when they're high in the
yeah,
sky. Yeah,
and the it's always bad publicity when a dog or cat dies,
obviously.
and airlines they are allergic to bad publicity.
Well,
And for them it's just a dog, and also not just a dog. The value, the money they make with a dog
hmm,
compared to the bad publicity they get when a dog dies,
yeah.
then it's easier for them to say, we stop.
Never mind. Yeah, yeah. No
Never
more
mind. Yeah,
dogs. Ah.
no more dogs. No more brachycephalic dogs.
And did you do a lot of that, like walking dogs or taking cats out of their?
Yeah, all
Yeah.
the cats were taken out of the kennel. All the dogs were walked outside.
Hmm.
It was a product. It's still a product.
Okay. And
So
you,
we still take care of all the dogs and cats in transit.
huh. And do people put weird things in with their dog sometimes in the kennel?
Now, it's good to put something from yourself in the kennel.
Hmm.
What you have to do, you have to wear a t-shirt for let's say 2 days, and put that in the kennel with your dog or cat.
Right. So it
So they have
smells of you.
it
Hmm.
smells of you. Yeah,
Hmm.
and those are the good things.
Yeah.
We also had people trying to transport cocaine in the kennel,
Oh, really?
but they always get caught.
Yeah. You inspect the kennels or they are scanned.
Um, when you take a dog out for a walk and you pick up the kennel and the kennel is heavier than it should be,
Yeah.
then there's something wrong.
Wow.
And that happens. That
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. Yeah. Cocaine dog.
But all the same happened with ornamental fish.
Oh,
That's
hmm.
also not being shipped
Right.
worldwide.
And you just said that dogs are easy travelers.
Yeah,
What in the animal world are difficult travelers? What are the hardest things to get in the air?
I think ornamental fish is hard to transport.
Really? Okay.
Ornamental fish is packed in plastic containers or plastic bags
Yeah.
with an ample supply of oxygen for 48 hours
Okay.
after acceptance. So let's say you have a shipment from Sri Lanka
hmm
via Frankfurt into Dallas,
hmm
for example,
Yeah.
and it misses the connection in Frankfurt.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Then you're stuck with a shipment of ornamental fish.
Yeah. You can't just walk those. I mean, they have to go.
You
Yeah.
can't walk those, and they have the supply of oxygen they have. The moment you open the bags, the oxygen disappears. When you put new oxygen inside the plastic bags,
hmm
then also the bacteria that like oxygen start growing again.
Right. Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So the acidity of the water goes up,
Oh, yeah.
and your fish might die.
I understand, and
Well,
also the fish there's probably a lot of fish per liter of water, right? I mean,
indeed, yeah,
they're quite
especially
crowded,
when you have
so.
goldfish.
Mm.
It's like a goldfish soup because they're also a little bit sedated.
Okay.
So what most of the, let's say, the big stations have, like Frankfurt in Europe, Frankfurt, Charles de Gaulle, Schiphol,
hmm
we have certain importers that take over the fish.
Right.
They collect the fish, put it in their own tanks
hmm
for 4 to 6 days, re-prepare them, and then they are sent to final destination.
Wow. Just for
And that's
missing one connection. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that's also the reason why we say that all the animals arriving at Schiphol
hmm
must meet the EU entry conditions. They must also be allowed into the European Union so they can be taken care of in case of
Right.
any
Of
problems.
course. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Huh, that's why. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Now,
yeah,
if I think about animal transport, I mean, you talked about the day-old chicks, which apparently is
yeah,
the most of the animals flying and beneficial insects. But I imagine zoo transport, so like
yeah.
weird things on a plane. What's some of the weirder things you've seen crossing your desk?
Weird or nice?
Well, weird, nice. What made
um,
an impression on you?
a lot. Especially the first shipments always make an impression on you.
Mm,
Um, the first shipment of giraffes from South
giraffes.
Africa
But
made a big
giraffes
impression.
are 6'5", 6 meters
Yeah,
tall. How do you put them in a plane?
and that's the reason why I went to South Africa for the first shipment.
Uh-huh.
We had a dealer over there who wanted to use KLM for his shipments into Asia.
hmm
I said, okay, uh, we can do it, but we first want to see your facility and how you prepare the animals. And what you already did, they make enclosures that can hold three young giraffes,
hmm
so they get used to each other.
Okay.
The crate they travel in is also fit for three giraffes, so they travel as a group,
Right.
used to each other.
That's pretty good idea.
Yes, and he also collected the same heights, and that's the other point. The door of the 747
hmm
is 3 meters and 8 centimeter high.
Okay.
We always told them the crate can have a maximum height of 3 meters, including pallet base.
Yeah.
Means that inside measurements are about 2 meters 95, 96.
Right.
Um,
Half a giraffe, pretty much.
yeah, have a full-grown giraffe, and that's the reason why we only accept young giraffes till 3 meter
Uh,
20.
that's the trick. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and because the natural position of a giraffe is not with the neck up,
hmm
but always a little bit bended.
Yeah, of course.
So when it's 320, it fits in a 295 crate with the three of them.
Oh, Okay.
and they support each other. And
Ah, that makes complete sense. Now I understand because I
yeah,
always wonder. I mean, a giraffe, however are you going to get them on a plane? Or lie them horizontally or
yeah,
no, not
no, no,
you,
no,
young
only
giraffes.
the
Yeah,
younger ones.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So and that's the bad part. When let's say they are positive for one kind of disease in quarantine, they
Mhm.
might have to wait for another 8 weeks, and then they become too big to travel by air,
Ah, right. Yeah, yeah.
and then they have to do everything again with a new flock.
Oh, yeah, because they have to get used to each other again
Yeah,
and get used to
you
the
have to select
enclosure.
them. Yeah, buy them at
Yeah.
auctions, etc., etc.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Does that happen?
Yes.
Oh,
In South
wow.
Africa, most of the wildlife that's being exported is coming from auctions.
Okay. Hmm.
And they go to big transporters with their own quarantine facilities that is approved by, let's say, the Chinese government or somebody, or even in the European Union. And then they
Yeah.
can travel.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Huh.
And so most of the zoo animals, they come from, let's say, confined area, go to another confined area.
Yeah.
And that makes it easier for zoo animals to travel.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty much a quarantine area, a zoo, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's
yeah,
no other
yeah,
animals of that species in a very large radius. So
indeed.
yeah,
Yeah.
should be okay, unless it's some disease that can jump to other species, of course. Yeah.
That's always a big risk. A couple of years ago, we had some tapirs from Brazil
Cool.
arrived in South Africa, and one of them died.
Oh dear.
They did testing; it was tuberculosis.
Oh, whoops. How did
So
that get past the test?
I, they were not tested for tuberculosis because it was not in the health certificate.
Oh, oh, well, yeah.
So we had to test our staff.
You don't want that.
No,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
that's
That's the
shit that
risk of the
happens.
job, I guess.
Indeed, yeah, and that's why you always must be careful with transporting all kinds of animals.
Uh-huh.
And that's also the reason why IATA, you have the IATA live animal regulations.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most important thing is that all the containers are nose and paw proof.
Right.
That also means lots of times that you cannot get your fingers inside.
That's also good.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
And still, I almost lost my eye
Oh,
because there was a crane bird, and I was looking through a hole, and the hole was not covered inside with a fine wire mesh.
as it should
So it
be.
saw my
Yeah.
yes,
Oh.
but it saw my eyes glistering, and all my all my glasses. Luckily,
Oh.
otherwise I was now one eyed bandit.
Oh, that would have been a cool
Yeah.
look for sure. For you, I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
a crane taking your eye out. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, mm.
And with yeah, and they say all this. They say that animals have stress during transport, but
Yeah.
I don't see it happen that much. And stress is not that is not that big of a problem. Chronic stress is something else. A
Hmm.
little bit stress. Everybody has stress.
Sure.
I'm also a little bit stressed now because I have to tell my story. But I had one large turtle from
Oh.
the Seychelles, big one.
Mm. Oh yeah, those are the
I
giant
think,
Seychelles giant tortoises, or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, those are the biggest ones in the world, pretty much.
It was a big crate,
Hmm.
1 meter by 1 meter by 140. And I opened the crate and I had half an apple. And I showed the apple and he started eating an apple.
Oh,
So
nice. He
no
was pretty
stress, nothing.
relaxed.
Yeah. And I had the same. I had to fly a giant panda.
Ooh, that's
Um,
very cool.
it's really cool. Yeah. First time so close to a to a giant panda.
Hmm.
But the only thing it did on a 9-hour flight was laying on its back and eating carrots. And that's it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And for sure I know the zookeeper was more stressed than the animal ever was.
So the zookeeper flew with the panda as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
mm.
We were with the three of us, two zookeepers and myself.
And is that to have the animals have a familiar face, or in case of emergency? Why
In
are there
case
two
of emergency,
zookeepers? Mm, mm.
but laying on your back,
Eating carrots.
ain't eating carrots. Yeah, what's the emergency? It's more important that you are there when you have when you're transporting horses or
Mm.
even rhinos.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, rhinos they sometimes just lay down and it looks like they give up.
Okay.
And that's when you have to be there and just make sure that they start moving a little bit up and down, back and forth,
Hmm.
just to stay a little bit in condition.
So what happens? They just give up and they lie down, and
Yeah.
that's
Same with
obviously
the
bad.
horse. When the horse
Yeah.
when the horse are really stressed,
Yeah.
you see the gum on the teeth
Hmm.
gets black,
Ah,
and then you lose them.
really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
That's severe stress.
yeah.
Yeah.
And but it happens once every 10,000 horses that you have a horse that just
Okay. Well,
gives up, loses it.
that
Yeah,
that is a hardly significant number.
yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then, so is there always somebody with the horse when they're flying horses as well?
When the horses fly, there's always at least one attendant with them
Okay.
on every airline.
Hmm.
That's also written in the IATA law,
Right.
and that's the law in most of the countries. So
Yeah.
you have to stick to it.
So if you fly several horses, there's one attendant in the middle that
At least,
takes care of all those
yeah,
horses.
at least
All
one.
right. All right.
Making sure they drink at a certain time, make sure they eat, they don't have colic, etc., etc.
Right. 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 And things like, I mean, I remember when the Dolphinarium in the Netherlands was shipping a killer whale to the US.
Yeah.
The things like that must be very difficult, right? I mean,
Yes, they are so difficult that KLM says we don't transport them.
oh, okay.
And that had to do with the publicity around it.
Mm,
But I know the airline that transported one to the Canary Islands,
okay.
and that went really well.
Okay. So,
But nobody knew when it flew.
no, okay. So they keep that a secret. Yeah.
Yeah, they just give you some airframe. They say it will fly on, let's say, March 15, and then it
Mhm.
flies on February 2nd.
Okay.
So nobody's aware of it because of all the bad publicity.
So people are protesting this kind of transport.
Oh yes,
Oh.
that's also the reason why lots of airlines stopped with transporting laboratory animals.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
We
can
already
imagine that.
stopped in the 1996, I guess,
Hmm.
and I think Air France recently stopped with monkeys.
Monkeys. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and there are still a lot of airlines that say they don't transport them, but they transport them.
Oh.
But as long as you
Let's not name any names here.
no, I don't no, but they say we stop with laboratory animals, but they still ship lab rats and lab mice.
Okay. Well, those should be okay to fly, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I can imagine the monkeys, but
the monkeys it's a little bit emotional, but I think they are still needed for some kind of research,
sure.
and not for your makeup.
No.
Let's say for life-saving research, they have some value.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same with beagles, they also have some value.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, beagles are used because they are genetically equivalent to like 2.5 dogs, I think, the whole
Yeah, I
race.
guess so. Yeah,
They're
yeah,
genetically so similar.
yeah.
It's remarkable. That's
But
why they always pick beagles. Yeah.
but the bad thing with laboratory animals is that there's so much bad publicity around it that everybody believes it. I also speak with people within the industry,
Hmm.
and they say all the monkeys that we have are kept in family groups.
Yeah.
Um, they have televisions. Their favorite programs are on Discovery Channel. And the moment there is a snake visible, we switch them off because we know the whole colony will go berserk. The
That's
beagles have
awesome.
playtime. So it's
Yeah.
not all that bad. And maybe you might want to look for somebody who can talk to you about this in your
Oh,
podcast.
that would be nice if we're looking for
Just
any
the,
animal
just the,
professionals. So yeah.
just the way they treat laboratory animals.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a very good suggestion. Thanks.
Yeah,
I will try to find somebody.
yeah.
Yeah.
I might help
I
you.
mean, I know. I mean, I've done a little bit
You
of
know
work
people.
in laboratories myself, of
Yeah,
course,
yeah.
and the people who take care of them get quite attached and try to do their best to make their life as good as they
It's
can.
it's it's a live animal, and
Yeah.
you need to respect live animals. And that's also the reason why I think it's important that you, when you ship animals, that you always have a look at the IATA LAR
Hmm.
on how to ship them, because you have a lot of professionals in the LAPB and surrounding the LAPB
Hmm.
that really know a lot about animal welfare and how to ship animals.
Like, yeah.
And if you cannot ship them, don't do it.
What is an
Really.
animal you cannot ship?
Bats.
Bats, really?
Yeah.
Okay, because of disease risk or
No. How do you feed them?
oh, yeah, yeah. Well,
They need
insectivorous. Yeah.
they need to fly to catch
Mm,
something. So how do you,
yeah. So
I think
insectivorous bats at least, right? I mean the
yeah. Not the
fruitivorous
fruit bats.
ones.
Fruit bats are easy.
Okay, okay.
And what also are difficult to transport, to my opinion, are hummingbirds.
Hummingbirds.
Yeah.
Hmm. Why is that? Why are they difficult?
They have a high metabolism. They have to keep on eating and drinking the whole journey.
Yeah.
So you have to make enclosures with lighting.
Hmm.
Temperature needs to be okay, and need a lot of food
Yeah.
during the flight. And we have a 12-hour flight. Cutoff time accepted is 6 hours before flight. So you need at least 20 hours of food with them. And
That's a lot of honey. Yeah.
you have to make sure the food does not go bad in the
Hmm.
meantime.
Mm-mm.
And they keep on flying, etc., etc. So that's, for me, it's a difficult animal to fly.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I've done it in the past, and I was always happy that they all survived.
Yeah, no, I can imagine that's a very difficult one. There's this group in California that does studies on hummingbirds at low pressure and low
Okay,
air pressures, but then they make them fly at low air pressure, and then at a certain air pressure, you just see them fall out of the sky because they cannot
yeah,
maintain the metabolism.
and that might also happen in flight,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and that
stressing them
that
out
might
quite
be
a
the
bit.
reason why they have a low survival rate when you don't pay attention to all the things needed for transport.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, animal transport is a very specialized business because you need to know about so many different animals' needs. And
And you need,
I know you love animals because you can hear the
yeah,
parrot in the back sometimes.
yeah, yeah. Parrots, my turtles, my dogs.
You live animals pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You had one more. You mentioned to me koalas and lions.
yeah.
Um, what happened there?
Lions are always nice. Lions are also easy travelers. Lots of mistake people make is that the crate is too big, so they can turn around.
Mm,
Best for a lion and for all big felines is that they just can lay down and stand up and not turn around. So you always know where the head is.
okay, that's fine.
My nicest shipment of lions were white lion cubs
Ooh.
arriving from Johannesburg
Hmm.
on the freighter of Martinair. And I already saw pictures of them out of the crate in the cockpit.
Oh.
And then I had to bring them to Tokyo. And the nice part was that indeed they were still depending on milk.
Hmm.
So at 30,000 feet, I had to give them milk and
Ah.
cuddles.
Ah.
And not only me, but the whole flight crew was involved in feeding
I,
those animals.
I can imagine. Yeah.
I could just lay back and just sit there and watch them feeding the animals.
That must be fantastic. I
Yeah,
mean,
those were really nice to do. Yeah.
yeah, those are the perks of the job.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah. was nice to do with the spray toads.
Spray toads.
Yeah, I forgot the name, but Kinasha spray toads, and they had to go to Tanzania.
Mm-hmm.
They were bred in New York at the Bronx Zoo,
Right.
and they breed 500 every 6 months,
Okay.
and they bring the whole population back to the waterfall they originate from.
Oh, right. Those spray toes. Yeah, they sit under
Yeah,
the waterfall and they communicate by
yeah,
movement, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
waterfall was completely dried up, but there was still some. They had some animals left in the Bronx Zoo and another zoo in the United States.
Uh-huh.
Started breeding them, installed big pumps on the feet of the original waterfall,
Yeah.
remade the waterfall,
Wow.
and then the environment was good enough to reintroduce them.
That is so
And I
cool.
know the first ones, we only have a transit time of 1 hour in at Schiphol.
Mm-hmm.
So I arranged them just not as cargo, but as excess luggage.
Oh.
And even Dutch, the Dutch customs agreed to do it like that. So I
So
think I
you
did
could get them on board
six or seven.
faster, right? That way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm, mm.
They sent people to the aircraft, checked them, and then it went on.
Yeah, those are amazing little toads.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Hiensi spray toads. That's the
Yeah.
name.
That's
Yeah,
the ones. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Their environment is so loud that they wave at each other, right? That's
yeah, yeah.
yeah, very cool.
That's
Oh, that's
yeah.
nice.
So we saved the species.
Yeah. Well, animal transport is important. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Not only for your
fantastic.
food production, but also for your biodiversity and
Fantastic.
education. Yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, I know you have so many more adventures with the animals, but this was already fantastic. And thanks for giving us a little bit of a view behind the scenes because we only know about dogs and cats as normal mortals. But yeah, to know that there's so much flying through the air at any one time,
Thanks for
awesome.
inviting me.
Yeah, and if people want to know more about you and what you do, where do they go?
The best thing they can do is go to the website of the ATA, Animal Transportation Association.
Hmm.
Lots of people I work with, I used to work with, are a member of the ATA. And if you have questions about shipping animals or any questions, go to the website and there's a special form you can fill in
Ah,
for your
okay.
questions.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Or find me at LinkedIn and maybe I can answer your question.
Awesome. And IATA as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's another one. When you want to ship your dog or cat, go to the website from IPATA, ipata.org.
IPATA.org. Okay.
Yeah, it's International Pet Association, Transportation Association.
Okay. And they can give you advice on how to transport your dog.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, Raymond, thank you very much.
you're
Uh,
welcome.
thanks for all the stories, and I'll see you soon.
I hope so.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.